7-year-old Lily Harper loved making things with her grandfather. Every Saturday morning, the two of them sat together in his small garage workshop, surrounded by scraps of pine, jars of colorful paint, and tools that seemed far too big for Lily's tiny hands. "What are we making today, Grandpa?" she asked. He smiled and handed her a small block of wood. "Whatever your heart tells you." An hour later, Lily proudly held up a tiny wooden bird she'd carved with Grandpa's help. Its wings weren't perfectly even. The paint was slightly smudged. One eye sat a little higher than the other. "I think it's beautiful," Grandpa said. Lily frowned. "It isn't perfect." Grandpa chuckled. "The best gifts rarely are." On the walk home, Lily noticed old Mrs. Eleanor Bennett sitting alone on her front porch. She sat there every afternoon with a blanket over her knees, quietly watching the neighborhood. People waved, few stopped. Lily tugged on her grandfather's sleeve. "Why is Mrs. Bennett always by herself?" Grandpa sighed. "Her husband passed away last year. And her children live far away." Lily looked down at the little wooden bird in her hands. Then, without another word, she walked across the street. Mrs. Bennett looked surprised. "Hello there." Lily held out the bird. "I made this. I think it needs someone to watch over." The elderly woman's hands trembled as she accepted it. "For me?" Lily nodded. "So you won't feel lonely?" Mrs. Bennett's eyes filled with tears. "No one has made me a gift in... I don't even remember how long." She hugged Lily tightly. "It is the most beautiful bird I've ever seen." Lily smiled. "It flies with love." The next morning, Mrs. Bennett placed the little bird in her front window. A handwritten note sat beside it. "A little girl reminded me that kindness still lives here." Neighbors noticed. Some smiled. Others wondered what had happened. Across the street, 16-year-old Ethan Collins read the note while walking to school. That afternoon, instead of rushing home, he mowed Mrs. Bennett's lawn. He left before she saw him. The mail carrier noticed the freshly cut grass. The following day, she carried Mrs. Bennett's heavy grocery bags all the way into the kitchen. The owner of the local bakery heard about the little wooden bird. Every Friday afterward, a fresh loaf of bread quietly appeared on Mrs. Bennett's porch. No note, just warm bread. Inspired by the growing kindness, the town librarian created a basket labeled, "Leave something that might brighten someone's day." Within a week, it overflowed with handwritten letters, knitted scarves, homemade cookies, bookmarks, small paintings, fresh flowers, children's drawings. People began taking one item and leaving two. The high school woodworking class built free birdhouses for elderly residents. The gardening club planted flowers around homes that had become neglected. Local musicians started giving free concerts at the nursing home every Sunday afternoon. Teenagers volunteered to shovel snow before anyone asked. Mechanics quietly repaired cars for families struggling to make ends meet. No one planned it. No one organized it. It simply spread. One small act became another, then hundreds more. Months later, the mayor invited the entire town to the annual spring festival. In the center of the park stood a magnificent oak tree. Hanging from its branches were hundreds of handmade wooden birds, each one unique, each one crafted by someone in the community. Children painted them, grandparents carved them, families worked together. At the base of the tree rested the very first bird Lily had given away. Its paint had faded slightly. One wing still sat a little crooked. Mrs. Bennett gently placed her hand on it. "It started with this one." The mayor smiled. "No." He looked toward Lily. "It started with someone who noticed another person was lonely." The crowd applauded. Lily looked embarrassed. "I only gave her my bird." Mrs. Bennett knelt beside her. "You gave me much more than that." "You reminded all of us that kindness doesn't have to be expensive. It only has to be given." Years later, visitors often asked why every home in the town displayed a small wooden bird somewhere near its front door or window. The townspeople would simply smile. "It's our reminder." Of what? That the smallest gifts often carry the greatest love. Lily eventually grew up to become an elementary school teacher. Every year, on the first day of class, she handed each student a small, unfinished wooden bird. The children always asked the same question: "What do we do with it?" Lily smiled, remembering a Saturday morning in her grandfather's workshop. "Decorate it. Then give it to someone who isn't expecting it. You'll never know where your kindness will end." And every year, somewhere in town, another lonely heart was reminded that they hadn't been forgotten, because one imperfect little wooden bird had taught an entire community a perfect truth. Kindness doesn't spread because of grand gestures. It spreads because one person chooses to care, and another chooses to pass that care along. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.